What could possibly lead a parent to commit such an unthinkable act? How could someone hurt a defenseless child in such a brutal and calculated way? This heart-wrenching case out of Texas brings us face to face with a horrifying reality. A young, innocent life was taken by someone who should have protected it. On March 20th, 2023, a 26-year-old man, Deantre Flanigan, murdered his 2-year-old daughter, Zava, while her mother watched helplessly on FaceTime. In this video, we'll dive into the disturbing details of this case. But before we start, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you never miss stories like this. Stay tuned as we break down this tragic event and discuss the implications of such a shocking crime. The crime unfolds, a horrifying reality. On the morning of March 20th, 2023, a routine day for a young family turned into a nightmare. Deantre Flanigan, in an act of rage fueled by jealousy, abducted his daughter from daycare. He then confronted Zava's mother, Kirsten Watson, at a nearby retail store, demanding her phone and passcode, threatening to harm their daughter if she didn't comply. Flanigan's violent behavior escalated when he struck Kirsten in the face, continuing his flight with Zava in tow. Zava's mother, desperate to protect her daughter, called the authorities, alerting them about the terroristic threats her ex-boyfriend had made in the past. Kirsten had warned law enforcement on multiple occasions about Flanigan's violent tendencies. Despite this, law enforcement had failed to prevent this tragedy. As Flanigan sped away with Zava, a police chase ensued. The authorities, using his phone's location, tracked the vehicle and were able to communicate briefly with Flanigan, who continued his pursuit with no regard for his daughter's safety. All the while, Zava's mother, still on FaceTime with Flanigan, watched in horror, powerless to stop him from harming their precious daughter. The pursuit, a race against time. The situation grew even more tense as police officers tried to catch up with Flanigan. With the help of Houston police and other agencies, the officers closed in on him. They attempted to negotiate with Flanigan, hoping to resolve the situation peacefully. Zava's mother was on FaceTime with him, pleading with him to stop, but Flanigan showed no remorse. What the authorities did not know at the time was that Zava was in critical condition. During the chase, Zava was reportedly not in a car seat, which led to her being tossed around the vehicle. However, the fatal injuries were not caused by the lack of a car seat, but from blunt force trauma and strangulation. Flanigan had strangled his daughter, taking her life while law enforcement closed in on him. Finally, the authorities were able to extract both Flanigan and Zava from the vehicle. Sadly, it was too late for little Zava, who was later pronounced dead at the hospital. The aftermath: grief and shock. The horrific murder of young Zava by her father, Flanigan, left her mother, Kirsten, devastated. Flanigan, angry and controlling, used his daughter to punish Kirsten for trying to end their relationship. During his trial, Kirsten recounted the horrifying moment she saw Zava's face covered in blood and begged him to stop, but he showed no remorse, even blaming her for the crime. A chilling FaceTime call of Zava's final moments underscored the prosecution's argument of Flanigan's calculated, intentional brutality. The verdict: justice for Zava. In the end, the jury convicted Flanigan of capital murder for the death of his daughter. He will spend the rest of his life in prison without the possibility of parole. Despite the tragic loss, the conviction offers a measure of justice for Zava, who will never have the chance to grow up and fulfill her potential. This case sheds light on the dangers of domestic violence, manipulation, and control, and the extreme consequences it can have on innocent lives. It is a reminder that when authorities are given warnings about dangerous individuals, they must take action before it's too late. The legal perspective: a tragic case to defend. From a legal standpoint, this case was nearly impossible to defend. With the entire incident documented on FaceTime and multiple witnesses, Flanigan had little ground to stand on. His decision to move forward with a trial despite overwhelming evidence of his guilt was a baffling one. The role of defense counsel in such cases is always to provide the best legal advice, but in this situation, there was very little defense available. As trial attorney Bridget Williams points out, a defense attorney would have had a difficult time cross-examining Kirsten or challenging her testimony. The video of the crime, combined with her emotional witness account, made it clear that Flanigan's actions were intentional and malicious. His attempt to cast blame on Kirsten only highlighted his egotistical and abusive nature, trying to shift the responsibility for his crime onto her. What happened to Zava's mother? Kirsten Watson, Zava's mother, was left with the unimaginable grief of losing her child in such a traumatic way. She had warned authorities about Flanigan's violent behavior before, but nothing was done to prevent this tragedy. Her desperate cries for help during the FaceTime call showed just how helpless she felt, watching as her daughter was murdered in real time. Despite the overwhelming loss, Kirsten continues to seek justice for her daughter, speaking out about the case and raising awareness about the dangers of domestic violence. Her strength in the face of such tragedy is commendable, and her story highlights the importance of listening to survivors of domestic abuse before it's too late. A story that will haunt us. This case will undoubtedly haunt everyone who hears it. The death of a child at the hands of a parent is one of the most disturbing things a community can experience. Zava's death serves as a painful reminder of the destructive power of rage, jealousy, and control. It shows the devastating consequences of ignoring warning signs and failing to protect vulnerable individuals. Flanigan's actions were not only a betrayal of his daughter's life, but also an attempt to manipulate and hurt the person he once loved. He thought that by taking Zava's life, he could cause Kirsten lifelong pain. Instead, he ensured that he would never again have control over her, and he will now spend the rest of his life behind bars. What do you think? If you found this story as heart-wrenching as we did, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below to let us know your thoughts on this case. Your voice matters. Together, we can keep seeking justice, one story at a time.